one was the public hearing for the Rock Creek Entertainment District Project Plan.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, to the staff of the city, our subject matter experts, and many community leaders representing both our city and our county. I am very, very privileged to be here to represent a part of this transformative project. It's one that this university and our staff have been present, we've been engaged, we've been collaborative, we've gone to meet people wherever they are, we wanted to be open, and we wanted to have a thorough, comprehensive process that led to tonight, a call to action. July 1st, we entered into the Southeastern Conference. It was a unified decision made by our university leadership, but our entire institution in a position to be successful, and by extension, a way to help our community grow. This district, if you will, further advances that effort in a way that not only benefits the University of Oklahoma, but our great state and obviously our region. When the city and county came to the university, yes, the city and county representatives came to the university, asked us to partner with them in this effort, we immediately asked the right questions. Are you all ready? Is this going to be something that we can work together? Is this going to be something where people can perhaps set some petty agendas to the side or check egos at the door to come together in a team effort? And we became absolutely convinced that that could happen. And I am so proud to this point, that is exactly the path that we have taken. Working together with each other for the greater good of our community. That unity I referenced earlier carries through now this partnership with our elected officials and other city leaders. We found strength in this partnership. Everyone has come together with best intentions. As I mentioned, over the course of countless hours, meetings, phone calls, however we could engage with people, the recurrent theme that pulses through our efforts is that this is for the betterment of Norman and Cleveland County, our great community. Our opportunity now is within reach. It's within reach. And this council can demonstrate the true leadership in seizing perhaps a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This transformative opportunity that gets us from one place to a better future. As been mentioned by Mr. Rieger and Danny, these types of districts are popping up everywhere. Communities are recognizing the combination of work, play, and live, an environment that we need for our community to grow. As an anchor tenant to the proposed district, this arena and our combination of our investment in our sports and the student athletes that we have in our program collectively represent the great vision that we have for our sports programs overall. But more than that, we have a vision for how the university can continue to play a role in the city's growth. This development would serve as another destination point for thousands of sports fans and other tourists. One way, shape, or form, small businesses, organizations, big businesses, our universities, churches, gathering places, we all have a responsibility to put something out there that can attract people here. That's how this community has thrived, and certainly going to be part of the formula for us to thrive in the future. There's no difference for us in athletics. We believe that the combination and the synergy of an arena in this entertainment district will create an experience that we have not heretofore been able to offer our fans for these sports. We'll have great competitions. They'll be fierce, yes. The celebrations will be elevated. And of course, the game day experience itself will be something that we haven't seen before. Again, all put together to breed growth and opportunities for both the teams that play here, the other events that come here, and our city. For us, it's always about creating a sense of place, a place where you feel welcome, you're engaged, it's vibrant. It's a destination where all the people that we represent and serve can come together, coaches, teams, athletes, fans, visitors, all immersed in trying to come together and take advantage of what the city of Norman and Cleveland County have to offer. As we've mentioned, the arena will be embedded in the entertainment district, yes. But the entertainment district also helps elevate the experiences for people coming to the arena. It's not just Sooner fans. We're attracting people from all over this state and this region. They're going to have the best amenities. They're going to have a chance to come and enjoy before and after all of these different events. As we've mentioned in some of the pictures that you've seen, we have been very, very intentional about the architectural style, the quality of the construction, and the timeless features that really represent what we know and love about our community. But also for us is to have a state-of-the-art place, a state-of-the-art place for competition, for our coaches and our athletes to feel like they're in the best environment and gives us the best chance to win. This is these two renderings are looking at the arena facing west. So in other words, this particular view faces inside to the entertainment district. You saw the bigger pictures earlier. This moves you into the big lobby area of the arena as it welcomes the 8,000 to 9,000 people that will be coming to enjoy the events that take place here. Again, taking advantage of all the technology and state-of-the-art opportunities for fans. We spent considerable time in the preliminary design to really make sure that this arena brings people to the action itself, whether it's men's or women's basketball or women's gymnastics. This is just one view from the inside of the arena. Here's one with a gymnastics setup. Obviously, people want to get part of the action, and we like to have both our teams immersed in engaging with fans. There's some areas here that allow fans to see the teams as they come on and off the floor. Here's a photo that shows how it would be set up for the types of concerts that we can attract here. We are not in competition with Oklahoma City. We are a supplement to drawing more and more people to this area. And as was mentioned earlier, the strategy behind the management of this facility as well as the entertainment district is to have that synergy between the two cities so we can really bring some events here that maybe heretofore we haven't been able to attract. A person that is leading our university and attracting more people than we've ever had on campus, and doing it at a time when colleges are struggling to actually achieve the same. We're very proud, and I'm proud to be working with a leader like we have, and I present to you tonight the president of the University of Oklahoma, Joseph Harroz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. If it's appropriate, one of the things that we know university stands for is not just giving individuals opportunities they otherwise wouldn't have and helping create a great workforce, but to teach students about democracy. And I believe there are about 65 or so students here. If it's appropriate, would it be okay for them to stand to be recognized, Mr. Mayor? Yes, please. So I think I first came before the City Council for the university almost almost 30 years ago. And one of the things in this role that I have now as president that you spend a lot of time thinking about is the history of the university. And there are times when that history, I think, provides lessons for today. And I have next to my bed Professor David Levy's History of the University. It comes in a couple of volumes. And I always find the readings to be instructive. And I thought there were 3 examples, I think, that give context for today that I think are useful, and I hope they are. The first was the origin of the University of Oklahoma itself. As you all know, the University of Oklahoma was founded in 1890. Now, statehood, of course, wasn't until 1907. But the territorial legislature enacted a law creating an institution of learning in Norman, Oklahoma, but it had 2 conditions to it actually taking effect. And that was, 1, that the city of Norman, the town, would dedicate 40 acres to create the university. And that the county of Cleveland County had 6 months to raise $10,000 to help it build a building to be a university. So the university wouldn't exist unless those 2 conditions were met, and it took a year to get that done. It took a year to donate the land and to raise the $10,000 so a building could be built. But it was done. It was done barely inside of that year. The second is, certainly apropos to athletic facility, is Benny Owens. Benny Owens, the father of OU football. When Benny took over in the 20s, he said, we have to build a stadium. And as part of that project, it was a stadium and a student union. And so Coach Benny Owens led a year-long campaign to build a stadium for Oklahoma. And he said they needed widespread student and community support to fund these. There was a campaign called the 250 campaign that was led. And Benny Owens said, we have got to go ahead or go back. We can't stand still. The city of Norman aligned with OU during that time period in that campaign push for those 2 buildings, the student union and the stadium. And a quote from the city was, both structures will be means of bringing ever-increasing crowds to Norman. They will build up the university and add to its importance and prestige and to that of the city. Buy with your dollars today the dividends of tomorrow. Frank Buttram, who was the vice chair of the Board of Regents, led the campaign. And he argued that OU and the city had 1 of 2 roads to follow. One road leads onto a goal of ultimate success, a university that we'll be proud to call our alma mater, a university that will be outstanding in rank. And Buttram continued, the other road leads to mediocrity, a university that will be satisfied in accomplishing the ordinary things, the small things, a university that will be willing to take a position in the rear of the procession. And the rest is history. We're celebrating the 100-year anniversary this year of that stadium, built by Benny Owens and the leadership that came together with the city to accomplish it. One more example. The last example, all in the first 50 years of the history of the university and of the city of Norman. Max Westheimer Field and the boom that took place there. Now, a lot of us know Max, in the fall of 1940, there was an estate gift to OU from the late Max Westheimer. His son-in-law, Walter Neustadt Sr., was the one who handled it, and it was a gift to purchase the land for a flying field. Now, it wasn't enough land. It was the estate gift. And so the city stepped forward, and the city of Norman voted bonds to purchase the adjacent 128 acres to complete the field. And was completed in October of 1941, just before the war started. And soon after the war started, which wasn't foreseen, it became a place that took off literally as a naval training station. And following that came the end of World War II and the boom for the city of Norman. And that field led to a lot of that. A population boom occurred, and people got concerned that they couldn't provide the services. The town itself grew quite a bit, and the town grew 136% in 10 years. The university grew like 360% because of the GI Bill, and we worked together to make sure that our university prospered into what it is today. Each of these years, the reality was the university and the city could not go forward unless we moved together. Now, I've been around for a long time, longer than most, but not all, of those that are part of this council. And the relationship between the university and the city has not been what it could be. And it's come at an expense. The university can't flourish without the city, and the city can't flourish without the university. It's a unique asset for each. And whenever Joe Castiglione referenced us being approached about this opportunity, and we approached it with sort of a cautious concern. Can we really make this work? And I can tell you over the last year, the time that has been spent on this, and it even came before we were thinking about and at least articulating loudly the move to the SEC, we said, you know what, it is time for us to move together. Those days of the city and the university working together created remarkable prosperity, a unique prosperity. And it grew us into the third largest city, but we know we've not reached our potential. Every one of us knows it. And the only way is to do that together and to look at the unique financing tools that are available. It will not occur. We cannot grow without investment. It won't happen. And over the last several years, we launched a strategic plan to try and be a great university. But I can tell you it starts off with humility, which is to look in the mirror and say, are you being the best partner that you can be? And the answer was no. So we've endeavored to be a better partner and to look out for what the needs are of Norman, of the state as a whole. And we knew putting this strategic plan that there were headwinds in higher education. We launched it 4 years ago. And at that time, we were the biggest we had been, but honestly pretty close to stagnant for a very long time. And we put together this strategic plan and we said we can grow, but we knew the headwinds were out there 4 years ago. We knew there was an enrollment cliff in 2025. And so we said, you know what, if we're going to be ambitious, we don't want to contract. We want to grow a little. So we put in place 2% growth numbers per year for the university, knowing there'd be a constriction. And what happened during that time frame? Over the last 10 years, there are right at 2 million fewer students in higher education in America than there were. Now, what does that mean in Oklahoma, proportionately? Over the last 10 years, the number of students going to college in Oklahoma is down more than 65,000 students. That's the entire population of OU in Oklahoma State, and throw in your third favorite university in Oklahoma. It's a massive impact. And we knew something like that was coming. Maybe not that scale, but we knew it was coming. So we hoped to stay even or grow a little. The first 2 years, we grew 2% and then about 2.5%. And then our strategic plan kicked in. And we didn't see it coming, but the last 2 years, we didn't just set the record. We grew by more than 20% in the last 2 years in our freshman class. Our research has gone from languishing to flourishing. Among large research institutions in the U.S., we are the 4th fastest growing over the last 4 years. It is working. Now, will it continue? Is it something that will continue? What's the formula for success today in American higher education and for the economic opportunity for cities? Who's growing and who's atrophying? And by the way, look across America right now. You'll find most schools are down 20 or 30%. It's like Buttram said, right now there are 2 roads. You either fall behind or you move forward. There's no staying in the middle. It doesn't exist. And believe me, they're chasing us from behind. When you look across the country and just look in our region, pick your city in Texas or Arkansas, look across the SEC, everyone knows what the formula is. The formula is be in the Sun Belt. Have a premier institution of higher education so you can develop the workforce that's talented that you need for your enterprises, and do it in a city that allows for economic prosperity, that is pro-moving forward, and that is at the table working collectively to help the enterprise go forward. That's the formula. It was said a minute ago, I think Danny said that a lot of folks are doing these kinds of developments. The answer is those that are successful are doing developments like these. It's a reality. There is no way to stand still today. You are growing, you are investing, and you're moving together, or you are atrophying. And we're one of the lucky ones. We're in the Sun Belt. We have a major research university in an amazing city. The only question not answered right now is when we create the environment where people want to be, where businesses want to be, where students want to stay. Not just come to school, but then stay after and invest in it. And if we don't do it, I guarantee you everyone else has figured this formula out in the Sun Belt. You either get on board and invest, or you get left behind. This is a watershed moment. This is one of those moments. When I read David Levy's history of the University of Oklahoma, I see us right now in there. We have that choice to make. And I can tell you from the university standpoint, we have stood in a position of arrogance before. And we will not do that. I committed we would work together with every enterprise to try and make our city and our state better. And it's paying dividends at every level. The state legislature this year, seeing what we were doing, invested $160 million in 2 new buildings, one in life sciences and the other in engineering research. We went to Tom Cole in Congress and got $35.5 million to invest in Westheimer Airport. We're asking for $20 million more again this year. It's about partnerships working together to make the lives of the citizens of this city and our state and our county better. And you don't get there by staying in place. Staying in place is not the option. To me, the decision is, do we rise to this moment, to this opportunity, or do we let it go? And plenty of folks make the decision not to accept it. It's scary, it's different. People do not like change. Change is hard, it's uncomfortable. I get it. But I don't think we have a choice. As we look at it right now, this opportunity is exceptional. When these students graduate, if this action is taken and we move forward, we become that city we've always promised to be. That place of growth and excitement, intellectual energy, free exchange of ideas, the ability to come here and live and work and play together. And this is the project. Unthinkable before, an over $1 billion project with $800+ million in private investment, done without any increase in the general taxes in an effort to move us forward. The investments of the past have paid dividends by those who were bold enough to make those decisions and recognize that change. Those individuals that gave that 40 acres to the University of Oklahoma and raised that $10,000 paid a good dividend. Those individuals that listened to Benny Owen and the board chair and said, let's move the 250 program forward, believed in it and built that stadium 100 years ago. That's given us the legacy we have today. When they invested in Max Westheimer Airport and added well over 100 acres to help complete it, that was leadership, that was engagement, and that was moving forward. I got to tell you, this is a project when we were first approached, I thought, oh, are we up for this? Can we really have these kinds of relationships that will be enduring? I can tell you I've made some incredible friends in this process. And it's not easy. But the game plan is there. We're not breaking new ground in doing this TIF district. We are following the template of success that others that are succeeding are taking. And the question is, are we up for it? And I believe for us as a university to be successful, it's not just about those sports that are playing there, and it is vitally important. We want the sports to be there, but to attract the best faculty, to attract the best students, to attract the best staff, they are going to go to places where you can have unique live, work, play experiences under this kind of a template. It's about partnership. There's no chance we can do it alone. We're asking to do it in partnership, and we ask that you vote yes for this. Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening. I am headed into my 19th season as the leader of the women's gymnastics program at the University of Oklahoma. I've had an incredible run here, winning 6 national championships. Our program's won 20 conference championships. And as we move from the Big 12 to the SEC, I can tell you that the landscape is completely different. I was an athlete in the Big 12. I was a coach in the Big 12 for 33 years, that's a long time. And much of that time was spent watching the SEC get ahead in many different ways, including building structures and investing in their programs through facilities. As we watch that happen, other things become a little bit more difficult, like recruiting student athletes to the university. Our sport is the third fastest growing women's sport, and 26 of the last 44 national championships were won by an SEC team. The TV exposure for women's gymnastics is huge. There's a show, and I hope you'll all tune in this year, called Friday Night Heights. Every Friday, January, February, March, each month, gymnastics all night long. This is a huge opportunity for exposure, not just for the University of Oklahoma and Oklahoma athletics, but for the city of Norman. Those television programs, as you know, show the areas surrounding the arena, what's going on in the community, and it's huge. I can tell you it's huge. For me personally, since I arrived here, one of the biggest things that has been a factor in our program getting better is our increase in attendance. I arrived, we had 600 fans in the stands, and last year averaged over 8,000. I can tell you this, we use the arena 5 times a year, 6 if we host a postseason event. In those 5 or 6 moments in an arena of this size, we could say it was a sellout. I cannot tell you how important that would be and how much that would impact recruiting, at least for our program, to say it's a sellout. Also, it's a difficult ticket to get, and everybody knows a difficult ticket to get is very attractive. On top of that, our SEC opponents will be visiting town, and I can tell you this as well, they will help us recruit. When they come to Norman and they see that area, they're going to go home and say, that is beautiful, that is amazing. And they will spread the word. It will happen. A few other things, when we travel in the SEC and we travel to lots of arenas. Oh, sorry. Oh, man.
I can say it for you.
It's Jennie Baranczyk.
And honestly, I'd like to echo obviously a lot of the positive statements, but I have a unique experience moving here just a little over 3 years ago with 3 young kids. And I've already seen the positive impact that YFAC has had on the young people in our community. And we've traveled a lot over the state to go to a variety of tournaments, and to be able to go to YFAC is really important because you get to see a lot of people from out of town coming to visit Norman. The hotels are full. It's an incredible environment, and already it's almost already too small. We had a unique experience in hosting a national tournament where we brought people from all over the country. And as you would go down, you would hear that our restaurants were out of lemonade. Our restaurants weren't prepared because we had so many people. Our hotels were sold out. There were a lot of Airbnbs. So it was an incredible environment to say, we can continue to grow. We've got a lot of opportunity. And just as we know that we've seen Norman growing over these last few years, there's a universal focus on women's athletics right now. You just heard from KJ Kindler, who literally has won 6 national championships, which is incredible. And you have Patty Gasso, who we just unveiled the first female statue on our campus after winning her 4th consecutive national championship. And now in our sport, there's record numbers, not just at the NCAA tournament, not just in home arenas, all across the country, professional and in college sports. So in the past year, there have been record-setting arenas all across the country, not just in women's basketball. Women's sports in general are at an all-time high right now, and it's time to invest. It's time to continue to invest in our young people and put us on that national map, just like KJ just talked about. When there comes a camera on national TV, you look at the SEC, and for women's basketball, they've won the last 3 national championships. You're talking about elite environments. So it's not just a football Saturday, although those will be incredible. It's all sports that continue to come to Norman. And by the way, the student athletes we have on campus, as well as our student body, are incredible people. And we need them to stay here. that's a huge goal for us. Thank you. Boomer.
Porter Moser, Ward 8, I'm the head men's basketball coach at Oklahoma, and I want to thank the mayor and all the councilmen and women for taking the time. I've been part of this project for many years too, so I know it's a lot of time. I had all these things to talk about how recruiting, how vital it is to our program, to the SEC, but after listening to a bunch of both sides, I changed my 3-minute speech completely. And I want to call out 3 people, and it was the 3 students, Jake Flagger of Ward 5, Kai Wildred of Ward 7, and Walker Wimbasi from Ward 4. Those are young people that have forward-thinking minds. And I can tell you, I've been in college athletics for 38 years. And I've seen a lot of things, and young people that forward-thinking, they were prepared, they had their facts on all the finances, and they impressed me as a citizen of Norman. I had a young man talk about storytelling, said earlier. I'll tell you a quick story. I took a job over in 2011 at a school that wasn't forward-thinking. They weren't growth-minded. They were single-focused. And I was pushing for the growth of basketball and what it could do for the community. A few years later, we went to the Final Four. We went to the Sweet 16. I went back a month ago. I saw that vice president, and he hugged me and he said, "Thank you." And I say that story to you because growth isn't easy for everybody. It's uncomfortable. Change isn't easy for everybody. It's scary. And for what I say to people is that for what is uncomfortable now isn't uncomfortable for later. What you see, what he couldn't see then, he can see now. And that's what I tell the people here. What you don't see now, you're going to see later. This is absolutely vital for our community. I'm selfish to go on about men's basketball and women's basketball. It's selfish. All right? This is way bigger than that. This is a huge impact for all of us. I'm inspired by the students here, what you are going to forward thinking, and I want to thank all of you for this. The time is now to vote yes for this to change everything. Joe Harris said it. It's a watershed moment. Leadership takes strength to say yes at a time like this. And I thank you all for your leadership on this council. Thank you.